Shane, you wanted to do this, you asked to do this. Why?
Yeah, look, there's been so many young spinners, and it's been fantastic here at Lord's this week, seeing so many families and so many kids. And where we go up to the commentary box, there's all these kids waiting for autographs, which is great. And I would have had, I reckon, at least 10 or a dozen kids come up and say, Shane, what's a tip you can give me?
Yeah.
What's a basic tip? How can I spin the ball more? What's the right pace to bowl? All that sort of stuff. And that's when I came to you guys. I said, look, it might be worth doing. There's still a lot of interest out there at leg spin. Maybe it's a follow-on from the World Cup that we saw. So many leg spinners in the T20 World Cup that the kids are watching that. They said, oh, leg spin, this is pretty cool. So hence, that's why I thought, you know, why don't we do some basic stuff? You know, we did some stuff about masterclasses about what we used to do at international cricket and how we'd plan things. But now I think it's really important just to show the absolute basics for the kids out there that have any interest in spin, even if they're with their mates and want to try and see how far they can spin the ball. I thought that was a really good idea to do it.
Well, we're very pleased you asked to do it. What is the main question you get asked, do you think, from a young leggy?
The main question is, how do I spin the ball further? Right. That's probably the most often question I get asked. You know, and I say, well, OK, if I want to go and watch a fast bowler, I want to see them bowl fast. If I want to see a swing bowler, I want to see them bowl like Jimmy Anderson and swing it. If I want to see a seam bowler, I want to see it seam. If I want to watch a slow bowler, I'll watch a slow bowler. But if you want to see a spin bowler bowl, I want to see it spin. So it's not about, people talk about accuracy, line, length. The one thing you've got to do first is spin the ball. Once you can spin the ball, then you can start to practice your line, your length and everything else. Because if you can spin the ball or you can swing the ball, you've got a chance of taking wickets no matter what grade of cricket you play and how high you go up. So a spin bowler, the first thing is to spin the ball. And how do you do that? The basic thing is the grip. That's, you know, you can do some things technically wrong with your grip, you're not going to be able to spin the ball. So the easiest grip for me, if you want to bowl, this is just purely leg spin for all the kids out there, is to have 2 fingers down and 2 fingers up. That's the easiest way to do it. And you just put the ball in there like that, and it just sits in there. A lot of coaches will tell you that you've got to grip it really tight. Don't let the ball fall out. You've got to grip it really tight so you can actually rip the ball. To all those coaches out there who've got the best endeavours, that's wrong. Because the reason is, if I grip that ball in there like that, really tight, suddenly I already feel tense by gripping it so tight like that. And it's very, very hard for that ball to get any sort of purchase or leverage on it because the ball is squashed up against the palm of my hand. What you need to do is to relax your hand. Because if you, like most kids when they first toys, put the ball in there, grip it as tight as you can, you try and take that out. You know, can't take it out. So then how do I actually get that purchase of the ball to come out like that? I can't get any real revs on it. So a couple of tips that you might want to do is just move that ball away from your hand a bit. So rather than in there like that, just move it out a little bit so there's a little gap there. And if you have a relaxed grip here, these fingers here can be together, they can be wider, they can be whatever is comfortable for you. And obviously there are younger kids that haven't got the strength in their fingers and that, so whatever feels comfortable for you is the right distance for this to be apart. So 2 fingers down, 2 fingers up, put the ball in there, nice and relaxed grip, not too close there, make sure there's a gap there on the palm of your hand. And what that allows you to do is that spinning finger there to flick it up like that to spin the ball. So when you ask me what's the most often question I get asked, how do you spin the ball? There are a couple of little things that'll help you. And then the best way to practice is just do that. And you can see by my hand and how much revs you can get on the ball by having a loose grip and being able, nice and relaxed, nice gap there, just to be able to do this. And you just keep doing that and you get a feel for that all the time. And then you can spin it as fast as you can. But if you get it in there, you just can't get that revs on it.
Just to be clear on the pressure, your grip, I couldn't get the ball out of your hand earlier, so practically I can now take that out very, very easily. Yep,
so the difference between having a really firm grip and gripping it too tight, not being able to do it, to having a nice relaxed grip with the ball coming out a little bit and just sitting in there, now take it out, you can just take it out.
That's your spinning finger.
That's the spinning finger. You use that part of your finger there to spin the ball and that just flicks like that. It's as simple as that.
You used to do that before you bowled every ball, didn't you?
I used to stand at the top of my mark like that.
Relax.
Nice to make myself feel relaxed. And also, this was to get a feel. Spin bowling is, and any bowling is all about rhythm. But spin bowling is also about a feel. So by doing this, you just get a nice feel of how the ball's coming out of your hand, and it just gets a nice feel of, yep, I'm ready to go now.
Will you bowl a few?
Yeah.
Just bowl a few down to me. So we don't need a big run-up. Just a practice drill could be just off a couple of paces or one pace?
Yeah, this is a nice practice drill for young kids that just want to have a feel for it. Just practice spinning the ball. Don't worry about where it goes. Don't worry if you hit the side net. Don't worry if it bounces twice. Just really feel that rhythm, feel that spinning the ball. So I'm assuming now that you've all got a basic technique as a run-up, your front arm, following through, all that stuff. This is just how do I spin the ball more. Loose grip, ball outside of your palm, and you stand there like that and just bowl the ball and just spin the ball as much as you possibly can. Stand there like that, just nice and easy, nice and relaxed, and spin the ball.
You know what you're saying about don't worry about accuracy and all that and just rip it? When you do rip it, the drift.
Yeah.
The drift you get. Now, the famous one, some of the youngsters out there might not have seen it, but we can show you now. Your first delivery in an Ashes, and that drift that you get there is because of the revs you're putting on the ball?
Yeah, a lot of people, and we hear a lot of experts sometimes say, well, the wind's coming this way, this will help his drift. The way you get that late dipping drift is a difference from angle, because some people have their arm high and the angle on the crease, it looks like it's drift.
Right.
It's not, it's angle.
Right.
Drift, the only way you can get drift is how much spin you impart on the ball. Guys like Graham Swan, an off spinner, he's get the ball really to dip in at pace. So you watch it here, so it starts to go down, and the reason Mike Gatting tried to do that is see that late dip in, and that opens up batsmen. So the only way you can do that is how much spin you impart on the ball. And that is all that stuff that we're just talking about before.
So it's not lowering or hiring the arm or anything like that?
No, well, see, obviously you can't be too high. If you have your arm up here, how do you get your wrist to bowl? If you're too round arm like this, it's very easy for the batsman to pick, and you're going to bowl a lot of short stuff. So somewhere between there and too high is the right way. I sometimes got a little bit round arm when I got tired.
Okay.
And but I never got too high, because spinning the ball, you need to be in that sort of arc, just that nice arc all the time, where it's nice and relaxed. You've got to be relaxed. And even just bowling those balls there, I didn't try and, I'm going to try and spin the ball. I was nice and relaxed. I just let my wrist do the talking. I'll show you one more thing, Wardy. So some people will stand there and say, right, I'm going to spin this ball. They lose all their shape with their technique of their body. And they'll stand there and they'll go, oh, I'm going to try and spin it.
Like a discus thrower?
Yeah, so you just want to stand there nicely and finish it. Basically here is just your last 1 or 2 steps of your run-up, and it's just nice and it's just rhythm here, but you've got to let your wrist and your finger spin that ball like we said before, just nice and easy. And just stand there like that and just use your fingers to do the ball like that. Just spin the ball.
But you can still be attacking and take wickets if the ball doesn't spin. I mean, the idea is to spin it, as you've just said, rip the ball. So you're getting Ian Bell out here. I mean, this one didn't turn.
I know, so I'm trying to spin the ball as far as I possibly can. Ian Bell couldn't pick my straight one anyway, but that was a bit of natural variation. If you're trying to spin the ball as far as you possibly can all the time, your best weapon occasionally is one that doesn't spin, or one that does something that you didn't expect. It might bounce a bit more, it might stay down a bit more. And the odd one, sometimes if you're going to spin the ball so much, occasionally you come so far around the ball like that, that it'll just happily go straight like that one to Ian Bell. And Ian Bell's probably watched that 1,000 times, so I swear that's a leg break. It was, mate. Unfortunately, natural variation, did you? So it's always nice when that stuff happens. And if any of the team, when you come into that huddle, say, oh, he didn't pick the straight one again, you go, yeah, sure, he can't pick it.
Right, what about captaincy? Captaining a young leg spinner and a young leg spinner setting a field. Now, you set this one up, bowling leg breaks to a right-hander. Why have you set that field for a youngster?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things that I suppose kids come to me also and say, oh, what sort of fields do I have? The captain, not quite sure. The coach tells me this, the captain tells me this, then I think this. So you've got 3 different things to do. The best way to come out when you first start and what you want to do as a spinner is to stay on. It's very hard as a young kid. You're going to bowl a double bouncer, you're going to bowl a full toss, you're going to bowl a short one. So give yourself some protection. And that's not being a defensive field. So what I've got here is generally most kids, you know, we're talking teenagers and that as well, will drop the ball short when they're trying to spin the ball. You know, they might bowl the odd full toss, but the majority will be short. So you want to protect the square boundaries. That's for the square one that's short, and they pull it out there, and you've got a couple of men out there. This one here is you're trying to spin the ball and you get a bit too wide outside the off stump to the right-hander. He's got a protection out here for a cut shot. What does that mean? That means that when you first start and you do bowl the odd bad ball, it's not going for 4 all the time. And your mates and the captain goes, well, OK, that wasn't a bad over. Rather than you going 4, 4, 4, 2. Let's go back to the seamer.
Okay.
1 slip, ring field, boring stuff. So your first objective is to stay on. So give yourself a chance to stay on by protecting the squarer boundaries. Once you start to feel OK, you know, these guys can come in. You see, because with this field, you've still got a catcher short cover. So if you do land one and he hits it in the air to short cover, you've got a slip that if you do bowl a good one, that it gets a nick. And then, you know, basically a lot of these guys, if he tries to flick one in the air, these 2 guys also stop the single. So it keeps the guy on strike so you can keep bowling to him. And, you know, you can manipulate this a little bit once you feel good.
You mentioned you've got a slip and a catcher in here, and these are the singles, but should a young leg spinner not think they're all catchers? Doesn't matter if it's caught out here or out on the boundary, wicket's a wicket.
Very good point, Wardy. It's, you know, we've seen in all forms of the game about how many times that this guy gets a catch or this guy gets a catch. He tries to drive, hits a bit too hard, straight a bit off, drops one short, cut shot to point. And that's the beauty of bowling leg spin. Leg spinners have those opportunities to do those sorts of things. You find out, and the batsman, you see him go, oh, you've got to be serious. But that's the advantage of having a leg spinner in your side. They just find ways to get wickets.
What about bowling to a left-hander?
Yeah, a lot of young kids struggle to left-handers because the ball's spinning into them all the time. And your margin for error to left-handers, when the ball's not spinning as much, it's very easy for a left-hander to shuffle across. We saw Alistair Cook to Harath here batting on off stump, and everything got too straight. It would just work to the onside all the time.
So what have you got here?
So what I've tried to get, what you have to try and do for left-hander is get the ball outside that off stump, wide outside off stump, because what you're trying to create is them to hit the ball through here. So I haven't got a slip here for the left-hander to start with, because remember, I'm coming on for my first ball to a left-hander. I'm generally going to drop one short, and also left-handers like to hit that big slog over there. So protect that, protect the single. You've got your mid-on for the drive as well, and you've got one, if you do get a little bit straight and a tickle, he's going to stop the single at fine leg as well. The easiest thing for captains out there, if they're not sure about the field, is whichever way the ball's spinning to the batsman, so if it's for a right hand, it's spinning away that way, have 5 guys on that side. You've got 9 fielders, so you have 4 and 4. You use the extra man to whichever side the ball's spinning. If the left-hander's on strike, it's spinning into him, have the extra man over there. And you can have fiddle around wherever you want him, but that's the general rule, and it's very easy to go that way.
Over or around the wicket to a left-hander?
I always like to start over the wicket, because that's what I've been doing.
Right.
So I feel comfortable there, because when you have a left and a right-hander, it's sometimes hard to change your line straight away. There are a couple of things you can do on the crease to a left-hander. For instance, you know, most of the time you bowl your ball in the middle of the crease here to a right-hander. You know, occasionally you'll go wider of the crease, occasionally you'll go in closer to the stumps. But for a left-hander in the middle here, you want to stay in the middle because this is what you've been bowling. So it's just easy to say, OK, I'm just going to get the ball over there, and that's where your front arm and everything comes in to getting the ball out over towards the left-hander. But you've got to try every single time, right or left-hander, get them driving. It's too easy for left-handers to do this, right-handers to do that. Just try and get the right-handers to drive. Get the left-handers to drive all the time. That's what you want. Just get them driving.
So that's the leg spin, but obviously you want a bit of variation. Again with the crease, but we'll go on to other deliveries that you can bowl as a leg spinner. But using the crease just to create different angles. Should you land in the same place all the time for consistency, or use that crease? Use
the crease. It's not where the ball pitches, it's how it gets there is the most important thing. The ball can pitch on off stump from when I bowl a ball here. Like if you stand down there, Wardy, if I bowl a ball here, if let's just say we're bowling to a right-hander, a normal leg spinner, you know, my normal ball is here, so this is what it looks like. That's my normal ball. So I bowl exactly the same delivery, don't do anything different. I walk back, but I'm going to bowl this one wide of the crease. It's exactly the same delivery. I don't do anything different. All I do is here, and it just looks different. The batsmen suddenly go to try and find you, so you sort of close off a bit because you're looking to try and find where I'm delivering the ball from. And it's the same ball, but it looks completely different. It basically landed in the same spot.
And the same when you go around the wicket to a left-hander, go very wide and then tight?
Exactly. And, you know, we did this last time, but if you are going to go around and you're thinking about going around the wicket, don't bowl in close and then go, umpire, I'm going to go around the wicket, and then bowl it here, because you're not really changing the angle. So before you do go around the wicket, bowl one that's really wide out here, and then say, umpire, I'd like to go around the wicket, thank you. Then you go over here and you bowl one over here. Suddenly the batsman go, where is he?
Yeah.
Now that is what are we talking? I don't know what this crease is, 2.5, 3 metres wide. That's a big difference.
So you can make some variations with the crease. What about with your wrist? What is the easiest ball to change to? Is it for a variation? Is it a googly or a flipper for a youngster?
Yeah, I think the wrong end is the flipper is a very hard delivery to bowl. It's a bit of a show-off delivery as a kid that you can actually bowl it, but it's a very hard delivery to bowl, and that's probably more for the older teenagers to try and to practice, and we'll get to that in a sec. But the wrong end, you really want to make the ball go either way so you can confuse people. And the basic thing is, we talked about the grip, everything is exactly the same, but instead of the ball going like that for a leg break, all we do is we change the angle of our wrist to here. We do exactly the same with our finger. We spin it up like that. We do everything exactly the same. We've got the gap, we've got a relaxed grip, and instead of going like that, all we do is change the angle of our wrist and get the ball to come out like that. So that looks like that. That's how your wrong end comes out. And that's nice for and the same thing, you got your leg break.
Yeah.
And you just got your wrong end like this. You just practice that wrong and get that feel for it. You obviously don't want to stand there before you bowl one to your mate and go, right, okay, I'm going to bowl a wrong end now. Here we go, like this, and then bowl a wrong end.
Yeah.
But you want to get that feel. So in between overs, when you're not bowling and the ball gets thrown to you in the field, you just get that feel like that all the time.
Can you show us one?
Yeah.
So again,
everything's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Remember, whenever you're practicing here, it's all about doing the same thing all the time. Variations, you always want to keep the same arm pace. You don't want to make this slower. The only slight difference with a wrong end is your arm wants to be a fraction higher. It's a little bit easier because your wrist is turned around. It's a little bit easier to get your wrist there, like that, rather than bowling a leg break a bit more like that. So the wrong end is exactly the same like this. You bowl a couple in your hand when you're practicing to get that feel. You come in like this, you just bowl exactly the same, and it comes back the other way, which is nice for, especially when you see young kids, they go, oh, that's a shorter one. They go back like that, they get bowled or LB. You give your mates a high five and go, that's pretty cool.
So your arm is slightly higher. I suppose your line has to change a little bit further outside off stump. Do you change the field, or does that telegraph it?
No, you don't want to telegraph it too much. You don't. Some batsmen will pick you through the air.
Yeah.
Some batsmen will pick you on the line. So you don't want it too much. So obviously, if I'm going to bowl a wrong end and I've got a plan for it, I'm not going to bowl my leg break miles outside leg stump and then bowl a wrong end miles outside off stump. My leg break will start a bit more outside off stump. So I've just dragged him across the crease a bit, bowled a few leg breaks outside the off stump, and then followed up with a wrong end.
Right, we've got a couple of examples of you doing it. We're going to show Matthew Hogarth, poor old Matthew, as a tail ender. So the line, again, outside the off stump.
Yeah.
It hasn't picked it.
Yeah, hasn't picked it. Try to smack it through the covers, open up the gate. This was a wonderful test match that I know you would really enjoy, that 2006 test match.
The forgotten
in
series.
Adelaide, that forgotten series when Australia won 5-0.
Yeah, all right.
But it was, that was a nice wrong and too. A tail ender. Sometimes you've got to be careful bowling a wrong and to a tail ender because they generally like to swing that way.
Yeah.
So, you don't want to be. You can just see it come out the grip. As I said before, you can see it come out the back of the hand like that.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to do. It's very simple.
Right, this one to Graham Thorpe. So left-hander, but you're over the wicket. I want to talk to you about the partnership with a keeper. Now, you had a great partnership with Ian Healy. Should you, and how much did you bowl to Ian Healy away from game time situations? Because he seemed to know exactly what was coming down and reacted brilliantly.
Yeah, I mean, Heels is, as far as I can, in my time, he was the best keeper that was going around. There's no one that came close to his keeping abilities. Up to the stumps, back to the quicks. He was just absolutely outstanding. Him and I had a good rapport. Obviously stood next to him and slip in that as well. But his glove work, and I mean, I think this one was in Perth. And you watch how high this bounces. So it's a wrong and it bounces. Thorpe hasn't picked it. He's tried to smack. Look how high, that shoulder height, and how easy and relaxed he was too to do it. And that was just wonderful keeping. So him and I had a great relationship. I mean, he got me so many wickets. He was just outstanding, Ian Healy. And it was great to see him last year do that. To show all that stuff about what he did. But we have a good rapport, and we'd bowl a little bit together, but he knew my plans sort of thing, and he knew what I was trying to achieve. So The only time he ever messed me up was in Adelaide again. He was standing outside leg stump because the ball kept hitting the rough and the odd one would go straight, and he was getting disappointed there was byes. He was kicking his foot. So he stood there. So I was walking to bowl and he was standing outside leg stump like this. I said, "What are you doing?" But no, he was great.
When to bowl the googly? I mean, leggy is your stock ball, googly is your variation. It shouldn't be like 3 and 3 and over.
No, the three things you need to ask yourself are what, when, and why. What am I bowling? When am I bowling it? And why am I bowling it? You don't just bowl a wrong-un or a variation for the sake of it. You need to stick to a plan. Everyone has to have a basic plan, no matter how old you are. If you always ask yourself, how am I getting them out? And if you're not sure, you haven't seen them before, then I want them driving. I want them driving. So when you feel that you've worked them across the crease a bit or you've landed a few good leg breaks and they're starting to look a bit more comfortable, then it's just one to try and change up. Try your wrong-un or try your variation. That gives the batsman something to think about.
Something else, what are you looking at when you're walking into bowl? Are you looking at the batsman's feet? Are you looking at an area on the pitch where you want to land it, or are you looking at the top of off stump?
I'm watching him.
Right.
I'm watching him. And, you know, a lot of people pick a spot out on the pitch to look at, which is fine, whatever works for you. I always found I used to put a ball down there and practice bowling and trying to hit that ball all the time. So that would help my accuracy. You know, I was always trying to spin it as far as I could. But the one thing that you want to do when you're coming in here, I used to watch them to see if they would do anything. And because of my muscle memory that I'd bowled so many deliveries, I just knew, I was thinking, OK, I've got them driving. OK, I want to push them back. So I'd talk to myself about what shot I wanted them to play. Then that would actually dictate how I bowl the ball. If I wanted to push them back, I just bowl a faster leg break. If I wanted to try and get them driving and slow, I'd bowl a slower leg break. So I thought about what shot they were playing rather than picking a spot on the wicket because it was so hard to hit a spot on the wicket. But where I changed from when I went around the wicket, I used to watch their pads. That used to help me give me a guide to where I wanted to bowl the ball.
What's a good indication that you've got the pace right for the pitch?
Yeah, once again, people say, my coach wants me to bowl faster. I've got to bowl faster. How do I bowl faster? Well, I don't think there's any speed that everyone should bowl. Everyone has a natural speed where they get the most spin. And if you're naturally quicker and you can still spin the ball, that's great. If you're slower and you're spinning the ball, that's great. Because remember what I said right at the start, if you can spin the ball or you can swing the ball, you'll take wickets, irrelevant of what pace you bowl. If you can do something with the ball, you'll take wickets. If you're not spinning the ball, and then you might have to change your pace a bit more. You might have to be quicker and straight at the stumps. But if you can spin the ball to whatever your natural pace is to get turn. Now, some days on some surfaces, a lot of the kids are playing on turf, which is great, but some are playing on concrete or AstroTurf, and you have to work out that some days you're just going to have to bowl a little bit quicker to get some turn. But naturally, every single leg spin bowler will have a pace where they can spin the ball the most. Now, if that's slower, in between, faster, as long as you're spinning the ball, it's okay.
What are you trying to...
Sorry, just to finish on that, because if you bowl too fast, people think you're not going to get hit more if you bowl faster.
Right.
That's complete and utter... It's
rubbish.
not true.
Rubbish.
It's rubbish. Because, you know, the faster you bowl, the easier it is for batsmen. Because if you're a little bit outside off stump, you can use the pace all the time. So sometimes the slower you bowl, make the batsman hit the pace, they lose their shape, they can hit it up in the air.
What are you trying to get out of your run-up? I mean, and how do you measure out your run-up? Because the old thing with the seamer was run for as far as you think, and when you feel ready to bowl, and someone marks where your foot lands.
Yep. Well, it's generally like that. Whatever your natural, you know, if you've got a hop or you've got a jump or you just walk in normally, whatever feels comfortable for you, just put a line down like that, stand there, and then just on the outfield or anywhere, and just pretend you're bowling. Do it a couple of times and see where you finish. And then basically you'll know exactly how far that is. And then you can, you know, step it out. You can do it like this, so you don't make any mistakes. You can get a tape measure like the international players do and mark out exactly so you don't bowl any no balls. But that's the easiest way to do it.
Leggy googly, flipper. Now, I'm going to show an example first up of just how dangerous a flipper can be. But it is a very difficult ball to perfect. Why?
Well, you know, everything that you do as a leg spin bowler is all out, you know, everything's going this way. It's all out the back of the hand. The flipper actually comes out the front of the hand. So it's complete reversal of everything you do. And because you're not using all of your fingers, you're really only using 2 fingers. Oh, Stewie. You're only using 2 fingers. So this is something that all you kids out there, when you're a bit older, you need quite strong fingers. You need to be quite strong to bowl this ball. The best way to do it, and this is really fun, click your fingers. So once you click your fingers, put the ball in there like that, and just click your fingers with the ball coming out. And then what you can try and do is see how high you can get it and how quick you can get it out without trying to move your wrist or anything too fast, but just getting the ball to come out. Because when you've done it like that, that's how a flipper comes out. So the flipper, so we talked about the leg break, the wrong and everything coming out the back. The flipper comes underneath like that. And it really is only those 2 fingers. The rest of the hand, you get in the whole grip, as we've been talking about, as disguise, but the flipper just comes out of there. Too many people will try, oh, I've got to do this, or I've got to do this with my hand. I promise you, all you have to do is just click your fingers, put the ball in there like that, click your fingers, get over here, exactly what we're trying to do. Get your grip right. You know you're only going to use those 2 fingers, but you're just going to put all the rest of the fingers there for disguise. And you're going to come in exactly the same arm pace, same everything, nice and relaxed. And you're just going to get in here and click your fingers.
You hit me on the knee last time you did this one.
So it comes out a lot flatter, a lot faster like that.
Can we just see another one?
Yeah, and this one's a bit like the wrong, and you probably want your arm up a little bit higher as well.
Okay.
Not too much. You don't want to be too round arm because it's harder to control. Sometimes you let it go a bit too early and it'll go down the leg side. Sometimes you let it go, hold on to a bit, or go that way. So you want to try and be straight at the target, into here, and bowl the ball so it comes out flatter and faster. And the first thing it looks like as a batsman, oh, this is short.
Yeah.
So they actually go back.
Yeah.
Like Alex Stewart goes, oh, that's short, I'm all over this. And they go back to cut it or pull it, and then they go, oh, I'm in trouble.
So that's what I'm saying. That is why the flipper is so dangerous, is it? Because
Yeah.
because when I'm watching down there, it sort of looks like a leggy.
Yeah.
Googly, you can sort of see, I suppose, the back of the hand.
more in the back of the hand.
So exactly what you said there with Al. Sorry, Al, we're going to show it again. He thinks it's short, so it's deceiving him on length as much as anything?
Yeah, and it's a lot quicker than he thinks because hopefully, you asked me before, when do you bowl that variation? So I've been bowling some good leg breaks and he's just starting to get bogged down. He's waiting for a bad delivery. I then worked him across the crease here. We've got some leg breaks wider. He goes, oh, here's another one. I've got to jump on this and put pressure on the bowler because he's trying to attack. He's a very good player, Alex, so he wants to put pressure on me. So I used a shorter, wider one to my advantage where I then bowled the flipper and it worked.
We've been discussing fields earlier, which was pretty basic fields. It's now all about T20. So this was our left-handed field when you first start. This was the right-handed field to a right-handed batsman when you're bowling a leg break. T20, bowling to leg break to a right-handed batsman, you came up with that one. Why?
Yeah, so the shorter form of the game, or white ball cricket, or T20 that's, the kids love these days, what you want to do here, this is actually one of the best forms to bowl in and one of the easiest forms to bowl in. People talk about, as a leg spinner, you're going to get smacked, you step and fetch it, go and fetch the ball, you're going to hit for 6 all the time. As we've seen through T20 cricket, the spinners are generally the most effective bowlers in the short form because the fast bowlers, when they're getting hit, what do? They try and bowl like us. They bowl slower balls. So they're trying to bowl like spinners. They're taking pace off the ball. So in T20 cricket, you can try and rip your leg spinners as much as you want because you've got so much protection. If you bowl a short one, it can still go out here. Anything you bowl, you've got protection. And sure, the batsmen are there to hit you out the park, and that's going to happen occasionally, which is okay. But what I've got here with the field is basically the right-hander. There's the 3 people out on the onside because most of them are going to try and use their feet and hit you down the ground or slog sweep you. So you've got top edge, you've got a short one. That's sort of how it helps for 2, a short one or the big slog sweep. Down the ground, mid-on, down the ground, mid-off, and then this shorter one here. I suppose when
I set this up where you were getting mic'd up, I actually had, just see what you want to do, but I had that field.
Yeah.
And you said, no, the newer way is doing it the other way. Why?
Yeah, what I've noticed in T20 cricket, there's a lot of reverse sweeps, there's a lot of those sorts of things happening, and there's a lot of runs that come through this area. So what I've decided to do when I played a couple of these T20 games when myself and Sachin took All-Stars cricket was this guy here now goes down here. And I've got 2 people in here. So this is for cover drives. This is for that shorter, wider one they go back and cut, which is really hard. hard to get normally goes through here. That goes through squarer now for this guy. So it leaves a big gap over here for people to try and hit you inside out all the time, which is actually what you want them to do. You're leaving them incentive. And this one now is also for the reverse arch that they all seem to do now too. So that actually helps you. So you've got plenty of protection, and it's a great opportunity to take some wickets.
As a general rule, you're captaining a young leg spinner, and it's in a shorter format game. What's the ideal time for them to bowl?
The worst thing a captain can do is try everybody else. Try your opening bowlers, and they want, oh, give us one more. They bowl all their overs. Then you go to your next seamer. Suddenly, 2 blokes are on 50 or 60. We can't get a wicket and go, come on, we desperately need a wicket. Oh, yeah, well, why didn't you bowl me earlier? So make sure he's not an afterthought. I thought the way Michael Clarke used Nathan Lyon in some of the Ashes series and some of the series against India, if the quicks didn't get it right early, he'd go straight to Nathan Lyon. So that did 2 things. 1, it changed the pace of the game, and 2, it gave Nathan Lyon confidence. And I think under Michael Clarke, Nathan Lyon, I'm sure his numbers have been fantastic, but to me, don't use the spinner as an afterthought. He's just as important and as attacking as any of your other bowlers.
And that relationship between a captain and a young bowler is so crucial because it can so easily go so wrong.
Yep, make sure he's one of your close mates, the captain. Make sure you buy him a cheese sandwich or something like that after training of that one day, so he looks after you.
Been brilliant to listen to you. Hope you youngsters at home and everyone else found that fascinating. I certainly did. Shane,
thanks,
thank you very much. So that's bowling leg spin. After the break, we're going to nick one of the best players of spin and bring him in the zone. We'll get Mahela in here. What next is we're going to talk batting against spin bowling, and why not bring in one of the best players of spin bowling that I've certainly seen. Because we can, Mahela Jaywardena is here. Did you do a bit of battle with him?
Oh, yeah. Not a lot, actually. I haven't played much Test cricket against him, but quite a few one-days. He's got me quite a few times. It's his hard work.
Why? What's the challenge?
Well, with him, it's about the mind game. I think he sets batsmen up, so it's like a chess game. He'll change fields. I saw him talking about general fields to the kids, but when you're playing international cricket, it's about he knows exactly what the wicket's doing, how much spin he could get, and he knows the batsman's strengths, and he stay away from that, and he moves fielders so that the batsman will hit to areas which he wants you to hit. So that's the mind game that as a batsman you need to win against him.
He's been kind. He was very, very good. He was one of the best players of spin, Mahela, because what made him so good was he manipulated the field. He was so good at getting ones all over the place, then you go, annoying, you couldn't get at him. And then he's got all shots. He's 360 too. You know, he could sweep, he could use his feet, he was inside out, over cover. So it's very hard to bowl to Mahela. So for me, it was all about trying to push Mahela back as much as I can to let him come down when I wanted him to, and then go a little bit wider and that for him to try and go inside out.
We're going to come back to that and have a bit of fun. But you grew up playing spin, obviously people in the subcontinent do. What is the first thing you've got to get right when you're playing spin as a youngster?
Well, I think the first thing is to be confident playing spin. In the subcontinent, what you will get is a lot of fielders around the bat. Soon as the new batsman comes in, you'll have a slip. You'll probably have a gully, depending if it's a leg spinner. You'll have a silly mid-off or a short leg, and they'll be chirpy as well, you know, they'll be going at. So you need to be confident. And then the first thing is your defense. So you need to have a good defense so that you're not worried about the bat pad chances or the one going to the slip. A lot of the guys do is thinking, okay, I'm in trouble, I'm going to push at it hard to get the ball down quickly. Then that's the wrong way to go about playing spin. As soon as you push hard, that's when you...
With your hands?
Hands.
Yeah.
That's when you allow catches to go in. So it's about soft hands. So if you come, like, as a new batsman coming in, the best thing is to play soft hands, let the ball come to you and hold that defense. And the other thing a lot of the guys do is to reach longer. So then your pad gets in the way of the bat. So you don't want to play the line which Warne or an off spinner, whoever bowls to, with your pad. The pad should be always outside that line, and you play with the bat. That's where the bat comes through.
Which is really important, because if you see a batsman saying, I'm going to use my pad as a first defence, and you know that's the line of the ball, but then if it spins, I'm going to hit it. That's when you get in all sorts of trouble here, bat pad. You start bowling a bit more overspin and bounce the ball, and that's when you get gloves.
And then obviously that's when the faster ones, the drifters like Rangan Herath would come into play, because he'll quickly push one through and hit you in the pad.
Just to explore that a bit further, just go on your stance. So if I'm an off spinner,
yes,
and I'm bowling sort of a line here, you will not want to get your pad, sorry, get that bit nearer, you will not want to get your pad on that line.
Yeah, so generally an off spinner is, he'll ideally that line. So you don't want to be in this position and thinking, okay, I'm going to do that and I'm going to cover that if it spins back in. So you're in trouble. So then they might even come around the wicket. Ideally, you want to do is be somewhere here and then play with the bat. And the bat in front of the pad as well, not together. So when you're together, that's when those little catches goes through. But if you play in front, so even if you get the edge, it'll just go this way rather than hitting the pad and going to the short guy up here. So once you have a bat, it's all about playing the ball with the bat, nothing to do with the pad. You could actually play spin without the front pad. You don't need it. The modern day, it should be everything with the bat.
You see how late he played that too?
Yeah.
You know, see, he didn't, when Mahela did it, he wasn't going out there like that, looking for it out here. He was playing with the bat here, right under his eyes too. So he still can adjust if he has to.
When we did that thing with Sachin out here, and I asked him about, were you worried about being caught here?
No.
No, you can't be.
I'm not getting caught.
Yeah, and you can't be. And the other thing is, like, as soon as the off spinners are pushing the ball wider, which a leg spinner would do against a left-hand batsman, that's when a lot of the guys trying to reach towards that line. So the best option is for you to shuffle across and still get in line straighter than going like that. Because as soon as you go like that, you're still reaching for it because it's too wide. So if you know the off spinner is bowling wider, take off stump guard, shuffle across, come back straight at him like that. Then it's easier for you to play with the spin. And then the second thing is, you have to play with the spin before you go against the spin. So if the ball's spinning, you always try and play with the spin because risk-wise, it's much better. Once you get used to the wicket, how it's spinning, how much it's spinning, and what the bowler is doing, then you probably can go against the spin.
It can be a bit more expansive,
I had a
it's just on that.
Go.
With that line, what Mahela's talking about, and for any young kids out there, however far the wicket is turning, if you're an off spinner, because we're talking about off spinner here, however far the wicket is turning, that should be your line outside the off stump. So the ball is always coming back to hit the top of off stump.
Okay.
So you don't want to bowl too straight and suddenly it's turning down there all the time. You don't want to get too wide because it won't come back enough and they can hit you through the offside. So however far that wicket is turning, that is your line outside the off stump. So you'll hear us commentators say, he's bowling a bit too straight. We want to see him get the ball outside the off stump, spinning back towards the stumps. And then what happens is, some batsmen will do that, like Mahela said, and they won't go in line and play nicely. And that can happen. And then the fun and games start. The batsman starts going straight across and playing in line, then you might come around the wicket and bowl a bit faster. And that's the beauty and fun of Test cricket, all that strategy and tactics and
a bit more
patience.
like a game of chess against the spinners, is it?
Correct, and they're going to change the angles. They're going to go wide of the crease, they're going to come around the wicket. And then the batsman has to do the same as well. So if he's making a move, I have to make another move to counter that. So I cannot play on that same line which I played him earlier when he made those changes. So I then have to counter and see where his fielders are, where is he going to get me out, how can I get runs off him, because it's not a survival game. You need to find a way to score runs. So then that's when the game starts.
Right. So say this is a sort of a field that's set to you and you've got an action here. With the off-spinner, you're traditionally going that way to start with. But Rahul Dravid said to me, he was fed up. He was told that as a kid all the time, and he was one of the great players of spin. He was fed up watching Sehwag up the other end go pew, and firing it through point while he's going one or hit the fielder. And he had to learn, because he had been told from a youngster, you play with a spin all the time. When do you go to that right, and how do you do it?
It's about training your mind as well, but at the same time, you need to know what the wicket's doing. So if you go to England, South Africa, and Australia, on a day 1, day 2, day 3 wicket, say if you're playing Test cricket, you know the off spinner is not going to turn the ball that much. The only thing you have to worry is the extra bounce that they're going to get. So in your mind, you could start doing that playing straight to start off with. But soon as the spinner, because you're playing straighter, he will go wider. So then rather than going and cutting the ball, which is much more dangerous, you could actually come to the ball and play him as a normal medium seamer and then hit through the line. But still, the whole point is not to push too far where you don't have control. It's about get the ball to come to you and just play through the line. and it's not a problem. But you need to know whether the ball's going to spin or not.
And what Mahela said early when he first, just before, he said when he first gets in, stick to the basics, stick to your strengths, hit with a spin to start with. Okay, now I'm working out the off spinner's not really turning it. So to actually play, if he's full enough, I can play that sort of shot over there because it's not really a risk shot. Even though I'm hitting against the spin, it's not a high risk shot because there's not much turn in the pitch. Different if the ball starts turning, jagging miles, then if you don't play that sort of shot unless you're really in and you want to sort of really manipulate the field because you're feeling under pressure.
Exactly.
Then you say, you know what, I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to give him something to think about. I'm going to do that one.
Yeah, and that's when you're set. And that's what the spinner wants you to do, to play against the spin, especially on a turning track. Then if it's turning, the better option is to actually play on the back foot, but not to cut, but to play with a straighter bat through extra cover when you're playing against the spin.
So like Hales' dismissal, that brilliant catch, where was it, at Durham?
Durham.
He would have been better off punching
Better off punching it because it's about calculated risk. So when you go to cut the ball, you're actually exposing your stump. You're not sure on a turning track how much the spin, how much the bounce, rather than staying straighter and getting a single, a two, and even if you punch it properly, you might even get a four. Whereas the risk is doing this is, yes, there's a four, but there's more risk involved in that.
How important is it to pick length when you're facing spin?
Very important, but what you should do is you should always have the option of coming forward or going back. Where if you're always here, then it's harder for you to pick length. So if you're in a position where your balance is there, so as soon as you first, I always encourage people to go forward first to spin, than go back.
Push forward.
Push forward.
Right.
Because you can always go there and then pick the length and then come back. Rather than from here, you go back first. You're not sure where that length is, especially what Warne did to Stewie. So
Can we show that again? Because Stewie's up watching.
Because, because if he had gone here first, then he would have realized, no, it's quicker than I could stop. But because he went straight away, as soon as he saw it from the hand itself, because of the flat
trajectory
path
of it,
it came through, he just went for the cut. So it's better to do that and then go back and then cut. That's what a lot of the subcontinent players do.
You can tell when a batsman is judging the length of the ball very quickly because that movement going forward or back is really decisive and they've got time. The people that end up getting stuck, you can see them, they go, oh, where is it? And their foot's just down there and they go, oh, and then they just lunge there. They're the people that don't really play spin that well and they're not sure, they're not watching the hand properly and not knowing what's going on. So they're getting stuck. Where the guys that go, oh, yeah, I'm going to go forward to that. Oh, no, it's back. I can now do this. They're the ones that really judge that length very quickly.
Well, that was the Stark thing when we used to show, well, again, Raul Dravid do the intercept points, so the Hawkeye marks from side onto a batsman. Dravid never got, there was never any ball sort of here. It was either, same with Michael Clark. Quick on their feet as well.
Yes. I mean, you have to. I mean, like Warne says, even with the youngsters, what they're trying to do is to bowl fuller. You get them to drive. So as a batsman, what you want to do is to counter that. You know that they want to bowl fuller. They want to get that length right. And that's the time that you should actually come down and hit them because they're trying to get used to that length. A lot of the people think, no, I'll wait to see. But then by that time, the spinners actually found that length. And then they've got the rhythm. So if you want to use your feet, the best time is as soon as the spinner comes on, that's when you should. That's what Michael Clark does straight away. Because then you can't get to that length immediately and you're under pressure as a spinner. So that's when you then start dragging short balls, then you can go back and hit you. But if you allow the spinner to get that rhythm, get to that spot where they love to bowl, then you're in trouble as a batsman.
How much does that put you under pressure as a spinner when they are using their feet?
Yeah.
Or is it a nice challenge?
Well, I used to like it. I used to like it. The batsman would come down and say, hey, it's game on. So then I'd have to find a way. You talk about Mahela saying there's a move. It's my move now because he's coming after me straight away. And just because he's running down doesn't mean he's trying to hit me for six. No. He's just trying to put me off my length.
Right.
He might just try and work one in the gap for one and manipulate the field. And then if it's right in his spot, he might downtown you. But I think for me then it's about what is my move. So my move is, OK, well, hang on, mate. I'm going to get you to come down when I want you to come down. So that's when you might bowl faster and push him back. And then that's when the fun and games start. Then it's a slower, wider one or a top spinner or a variation, a few faster flippers or straight ones, things like that, that he's trying to get down. He goes, oh, no, hang on, I've got that one. It's a straight one up. Now, because once they pick the variation, they'd have to then play it. You know, so they suddenly lose what they were trying to do, and all they're trying to do is play your variation. So that's when the cat and mouse starts, and that's the fun.
That's the fun thing, because you can pick the variation, but you still have to play it.
It might bounce a bit more, might turn a bit more than what you think.
It's not about just picking it. You still have to play it as well. So you need to have options. How are you going to play that, and how are you going to get him off that length? Because a lot of the spinners loves, like if you ask Murray loves to bowl in this one little box.
Yeah.
All his variations. So you need to get him off that box somehow. Warne is the same, and Warne would like drift you. Like, as soon as he knows that you're going to come down and hit you straight, he won't give anything in that area. He'll just drift everything towards your pads. So if you're a batsman who's not going to sweep, then you're in trouble, because then that means you had to come and probably play against the spin through mid-wicket. So he would love that.
Yeah, exactly.
He would love that.
Yep.
Teach us how to sweep. What's the key?
The key is confidence. I mean, you should be able to play a forward defense or a backward defense, and a sweep should be the same confidence. It can't be a shot that you think, oh, I need to play and get away with it. So you have to have that same confidence. And there are a few things a lot of people do right and wrong. Number one is, say if you're an off spinner bowling to you wide outside, you're trying to sweep, putting a foot across. That means you're trying to reach there. One thing is, as soon as you reach too far, you lose your balance, because then you're in this position trying to sweep. So your head is somewhere here. That's when a lot of the guys do get top edges, going to short, fine leg got there, because you're actually reaching for it from there. So if the bowler is bowling outside, because obviously they're bowling to that rough area, that's where trying to get spin. The same thing applies. You move across, get your body in line, so that you don't have to reach too far, short stride, but your head comes over, so that you have control, and then sweep. Sweeping this way allows the ball to come, get that top edge, and probably fly. If you want to sweep, a safe option is to have the high back lift, not like that, but round, like a spinner comes through, and then chop at it, so that you get that ball to go down.
It's interesting, because Yunus Khan likes to get his bat very parallel to the ground, but you're saying just you do it by just coming down.
You get more control. What Mahela does that, and you can get a bit more placement on where you want the ball to go.
Correct, and it's all about risk. You don't want to get outplaying a sweep. It's about getting the bowler off the length, and then still you could get a boundary if you time it properly. But it's about risk, calculated risk. So you, by doing that, you know the ball is going to go down and go for a single or whatever. But if you really want to hit somebody, you still can, hit sweep or slog sweep. That's fine. But this is a safe option.
As long as that sweep is also just to rotate the strike and to off-put the bowler. It shows you that, hang on, I can use my feet, but if I don't want to do that, I can still do this for you. So the guys that can sweep like Mahela can and use their feet, they're the really hard ones to bowl to, because most batsmen will either try and run down at you all the time, or if they're not quite sure it's going out the hand, they'll just try and sweep you all the time. So, and they're the people you can really get out pretty quickly. Those ones that just try and sweep all the time,
Guilty.
Yeah.
Couldn't pick it. Was there a drill that you could do as a kid? With tennis ball, or would someone throw it to you, or drop the ball like that and then you whack it? What would you do?
Well, first thing is, you just need to find a way, okay, which is my best alignment, so you can get used to doing that. And then you can get someone to actually throw underarms from a shorter distance. You don't have to really spin the ball. Just throw underarms, but short.
To bounce or on the floor?
To bounce, because you won't get full tossers to sweep, basically.
Yeah.
You'll get bounce balls spinning. But to start with, just to bounce, so that you get used to this technique, which is important, so that you come down on the ball, and then you're not reaching and you're not in a bad position. So you can get someone to look whether your head's actually on top, and then start sweeping. So once you get this technique sorted out, and then you can use your angles. Say, if you want to sweep someone squarer, you stay here, and then you do that. If you want to sweep someone finer, you go across and sweep you there. So finding those angles,
where the field is
set. So you need to make those movements as well. So if a left-arm spinner is going to bowl drift to your pads, you could stay there, do that. If you want to sweep him there, then you can go like that, and then sweep you there. So you can move around and then maneuver that ball wherever you want to go.
Talking about the drills for the batsmen, we probably didn't finish off just the drill for young kids out there to practice with their leg spinners, is to just put a ball down. So you find the right spot. Generally, you'll be, when you stand with the batsman, will stand there like that. The easiest way to work it out is work out what it's like for a batsman to sort of come down and then you sort of put the ball on the line you want.
That's
like
your target.
that, and that's your target. So that's sort of something that you might want the batsman to play because you're trying to get them to drive. So get there and then have a competition with your mates. Get up the other end and see you can hit it first, and whoever hits it first buys your lunch.
Right, that's the field you had for a young leggy bowling,
Yep.
you know, just to get himself settled. Set a field for him, please.
For Mahela.
Yeah.
Well, he's such a good sweeper of the ball. So he was a very good player. So I'd have a fine 45. I'd have a good sweeper there. I'd have, to start with, I'd have my mid-wicket in here as well. I'd have him pretty straight there. I have my mid on here. So I'm leaving him a bit of a gap through there if he wants to. My short cover would be in there nice to catch. He's a good inside-out player. I'd have this man up into here to start with, like that, so there's nothing through the offside. And then when I was feeling pretty good, this man will come in here, which would probably be David Boone or someone.
Peg on legs in that.
And I have Healy, Mark Waugh or Mark Taylor and David Boone chirping Mahela a fair bit, seeing if he wants to hit it somewhere. But that would be sort of my field, something like that.
Right, I don't get this right. So he's basically allowing you to go over there if you want, or you can go through here if you want. Come on, where are you going? How are you going to do it? How are you going to score? Where are you going?
With this field, I'll guarantee you he's not going to give me anything on the off stump or outside the off stump.
Okay.
So he knows that I will go over the top. What he will do is he'll bowl lots of top spinners, showing that it's a leg spinner, but it'll be top spinner, won't spin. So as soon as I go against the spin, like I'll think it's a leg spin, I'll go doing that. And that's when I get that edge. And that's why
Hopefully, mate, yeah.
that's why he wants to have this guy up here first, so that he could get that missed time to get you out. So in my mind, I know this is a trap. This is a trap. I know he's a leg spinner, but he's not going to bowl me that many leg spin. He's going to drift me in, drift me in, drift me in, get me to play against the spin here. So that's his plan. So I would do is I would run down and make sure that I cover that line and then try and see whether I can actually hit few through the mid-on area, because he's not going to spin much.
Yeah. Going to be over spinners and straight ones for a while, yeah.
So try and hit him through here. I'm not going to sweep him to
You're not going to sweep?
I'm not going to sweep him because I know he's going to bowl lots of faster ones to push me back as well.
Get back in your crease, mate.
Yeah. So you need to counter that. So once he probably goes off that plan and then he knows, okay, he's coming down, I might be able to beat him outside my bat and then try to spin. That's probably the time that I would try and come and hit him through these gaps.
If he's found his line and length and his rhythm and he's banging away and he's tying you up, what can you do? What fielder would you try or need to move to sort of get you off strike and give you an outlet? Get Kumar up the other end, left, right hand or something like that?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, if he brings this guy up, then
So
there's a area. But for me to hit this area, I cannot probably play him from the crease. I cannot do that because he'll love me to do that, because that's when he gets into the rhythm. So that's why I'm going to come down, cover my line and see whether I could punch him through there, depending how much spin he gets. Usually he won't get that much of spin at the start of the test match, but if you go to the 4th, 5th day, he would love me to hit through mid-wicket and I wouldn't do that. 4th, 5th day, then I'll straight away start sweeping because it's easier for me to control those shots rather than do that to mid-wicket.
I just hope he misses one. Hope he messes one up because he didn't do that very often.
I know you're saying overspin and you were saying overspin. Just explain the difference in a leggy. I mean, it's only marginal, isn't it?
Yeah, so, you know, look, just to take it a little bit further, we've got that leg break that we're talking to you about like that. You've got your wrong'un basically like that. All an overspinner, a top spinner is going from here just to there, and it just goes straight over like that. You think of top spin in tennis, and you go like this, it's just top spin. So the ball, when it comes out of your hand, it looks like it's going up, but it really dips on the batsman and it can actually bounce. And that's a really good delivery like that because it looks like a leg break. Some people actually think it's a wrong'un if they don't play spin that well. And it's just a very good delivery because a lot of batsmen that come down as well, they think, oh, yeah, I've got that. And suddenly they go to hit it and it's not there. And that's when they have to adjust. But it's a really good delivery to bowl.
And the thing is, it doesn't spin as well. He bowls a lot of top spin in subcontinental conditions when the actual ball is spinning. So he'll show the batsman the same action, it's turning, and then he'll bowl the same thing, the top spin. So then the guys will come and hit him through here, and then they get inside half of the bat, and then it pops up to mid-on for a catch.
You've got your tactics just about right, hasn't it?
That's it, he's spot on.
Gentlemen,